Okay. Is there something?
Test 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, 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 hey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Cool.
This way.
Okay.
Careful of the staff.
Hopefully my green braces doesn't get cropped into.
How do I pronounce your last name?
Jean. Silent T.
Okay.
Yes.
So Gary Jin.
Yes, Gary Jin. So I'm the product manager for the professional audio portfolio.
Okay. Yeah, I have a graphic banner created for you this morning.
Okay.
So find it. But just I
You need help?
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's green light. Okay, so I could just bring you through what we're gonna do later. So this is a placeholder. So after 5 seconds, they will do a 5-second countdown. They'll give me a thumbs up.
Okay.
Then I would just you'll switch back to just now the theater thing that you sing. Then I would say like intro lah, like welcome back to the vStudio.
Okay. So
right.
this is live.
Technically, yes.
Technically. Okay.
Physically and yeah.
Okay.
It's live. It's on our Facebook page and our YouTube page.
Okay.
Then told Kimberly that we might be able to, and she did send me some of the product images. But if you were to put it in, then the whole screen will go blank and says no video for like 1 to 2 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Then it will show on the right screen that you see over there.
Okay.
So my best advice is not to go for it. But if
Sorry, not to go for.
Not to go for images.
Oh, okay, no problem. By all means, you guys can call
we tried
the
it
shot.
out yesterday and we saw that issue. So today, to play safe, we normally tell people who has images to probably not, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
What images did Kimberly provide?
The 3D mic.
Okay.
Then I think it's almost everything there.
Okay, the Ambio Smart headset.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Right. So far, how were the interviews? All okay.
Yeah, they're good now. So far, today's one it's pretty not bad actually. Yeah, yesterday we were having some. Day one it's a bit patchy.
Okay.
But managed to resolve it. Today's one is so far so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, we are good, I guess.
Sorry, your name is
Josephine.
Josephine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just over there. Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Gary Jin from ConnecTechAsia with us. So Gary, can you share with us some of the key trends you see taking place in today's media industry?
Well, there are three key trends that we see, and first, it is a problem because the operatable radio frequency bandwidth is shrinking, and as such, we see a very congested frequency spectrum with many different wireless microphone users from different companies, all congested within a very small bandwidth. So as a result, there is an increased demand in spectral efficient wireless microphones these days, and Sennheiser has actually the solutions to it. And the second thing about the trend that we notice is there is an increased adoption of immersive content creation these days. And we all know that VR has been like the talk of the town, VR and AR. And with what we feel is that with VR content, with VR image, you will need a VR audio as well to actually complement the whole entire 360 immersive experience. So as such, we actually developed an NBO program which addresses the needs of these content creators. And thirdly is we see an increase in smartphones with very high capability to capture good quality videos. These days, our smartphones cameras can actually record like up to 4K resolution. So with that, broadcasters, we also observe that broadcasters are actually equipping their reporters with lighter gears. They are traveling light for broadcast journalism, and in view of that, there is also an increased demand in high quality audio to complement these high quality video on smartphones. So again, mobile journalism is a key trend that we are witnessing these days.
Okay, and what are some of the solutions that Sennheiser is bringing to us this year?
Well, with regards to the first thing that I spoke about with shrinking bandwidth for radio wireless microphones, Sennheiser has actually developed our flagship digital 9000 and digital 6000 system. These wireless microphone systems are built for different kind of applications. For example, broadcast, even live performances, or even fixed installations like theaters as such. So with that in mind, we know that frequency is shrinking, and the spectrum is getting more and more congested. And as such, we developed the 6000 and 9000 systems modulation technology to transmission technology to allow our users to have a worry-free operations, because the 6000 and 9000 uses a true digital modulation technology that does not create any intermodulation. So as such, these two systems are very effective in performing in congested environment. And with regards to the second point that I spoke about, with the increased adoption in immersive content creation, Sennheiser over the last years, we actually came out with this NBO program. So NBO program is essentially a registered trademark by Sennheiser. It encompasses the full workflow for immersive spatial audio capturing and delivering. So we have both hardwares and softwares that actually fulfills the requirements of the content creators. So within the NBO portfolio at Broadcast Asia this year, we are featuring two key products under the NBO portfolio. One is the NBO VR microphone. This is more for virtual reality production, and the second thing is more for casual content creation. It's called the NBO Smart Headset. It is a binaural headset that you connect straight into your iPhone, and you can just record a video just like that, and the audio experience will be a full-on immersive experience. So for example, one of the use cases could be, for example, now we all know it's the World Cup, right? So if you own an NBO Smart Headset, you travel to Russia and watch the World Cup finals, and you start recording you record a video and share it on your social media platform. When your viewers actually view that video on headphones, they can actually they will be able to experience the full 360 experience. So in other words, you are like transporting them to the World Cup finals. So this is the second thing that we have. And thirdly, we are also featuring an array of news gathering wireless devices at Broadcast Asia this year. So through our partners, we are showcasing the Sennheiser AVX, which is a simple, straight, easy to use, convenient wireless systems. It does not require the user to be very experienced in RF management, radio frequency management. All they need to do is just turn on the transmitter and receiver. Within seconds, it will be paired. And furthermore, these devices run on rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. So with that onset, you can just use your power bank to power up these wireless devices. So again, convenience is another thing that we try to address. And also we have an array of smartphone microphones for iPhones to fulfill the requirements of mobile journalism. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
Have a great show at Broadcast Asia,
Thank you
Gary.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
We're having some day one exhibit patch from Sennheiser Asia with us. So Gary, can you share with us some of the key trends you see taking place in today's media industry?
Well, there is an increased demand in spectral efficient.
Okay.
Yep, here we go.
All right.
2 questions.
Okay.
I know Wei sent me a couple of images
Right.
this morning.
All right.
But because yesterday we just realized that if we were to insert images
Right.
onto the right screen,
Yeah, it's too
there will be
complicated.
there will be a black screen that says no
Right.
video
Right.
for like a couple of milliseconds.
Okay.
Which is, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We would recommend not to.
Right.
But
Sure. Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are the questions? Just.
The trends you see taking place
Okay.
in the media industry and the solutions that AJA is bringing to Broadcast Asia.
Okay. Sure.
Should I put it as AJA or AJA?
AJA.
AJA.
Yeah.
AJA or AJA Video Systems?
AJA Video Systems. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you could just say AJA. That's fine. But it is
Okay.
officially AJA Video Systems. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So have a seat.
Okay. All right. Is this thing on? I don't know.
You see the green light, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
I think I
and
did. Yes. All right.
So I could just bring you through what's gonna happen on the screen.
Okay.
So this is sort of like a placeholder. After 5 seconds, they will do a count. They'll do a countdown. Give me a thumbs up.
Uh-huh.
Then it will go to here.
Okay.
And I'll just do a quick short introduction saying
Okay.
that welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Robert Stacy from AJ Video Systems.
Okay.
Then I'll proceed with the first question, which is the trends you see taking place in the media industry.
Okay.
Then followed by the second question, which is the solutions that AJ is highlighting this year at Broadcast Asia.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
I think I can handle that.
Of course you can.
Probably.
How's the show so far?
It's been good, actually.
Your booth is downstairs, right?
Yeah.
It's crowded. It's more. There's more people downstairs, I suppose.
I don't know. I mean, we've had really good traffic flow the whole time. You know, we collected a couple hundred leads yesterday. You know, I got my son just doing lead collection
So did he go to the esports? Do you see an esports arena?
No, that's my. He hasn't gone there.
Yeah, your eldest son.
My other son works
Yeah.
for Newtek, so he
Yeah.
does a lot of esports. So.
But I thought you would check it out for him.
Actually, the one who does the game development, he's not interested in any of that stuff. He's just more interested in the development side of things. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna wait for the.
So should I face?
You can look at the camera or look
Okay.
at me at the same time, but just not to put your left hand too out. If not, you'll be cut.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
fine. Yep.
Okay. Good.
We are good. Are we good? We're good.
Okay.
Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Robert Stacy from AJ Video Systems with us. So Robert, could you share with us some key trends you see taking place in the media industry?
Well, I think everyone's sort of at a variety of different crossroads. One being, certain types of protocols for transporting video. 3G versus 12G, 12G versus IP are certainly key trends. And then also, I think another aspect of that is in terms of whether or not to go to 4K in conjunction with that, and also what to do about things like HDR and so forth. So I think these are really big things that we're seeing in the market.
And what are some of the solutions that AJ is bringing to us this year at Broadcast Asia?
Well, we're trying to take leadership positions in, I'd say, two key areas, one being IP. So we have a family of emerging converter products, which are edge products that allow customers to take SMPTE 2110 data and convert it to baseband video through HDMI. So we have a converter that does that. We also have a small family of mini converters that take JPEG 2000 and convert either to HDMI or vice versa, going HDMI or SDI to JPEG 2000 using gigabit Ethernet as the transport. So we're really excited about opportunities we see in that space. And then additionally, we are taking a leadership position in HDR. So we've released a product last year called the FS HDR, which is a partnership product with ColorFront. So it uses the ColorFront engine to do HDR transforms, and so it's a fantastic value in that it can either do one 4K transform or 4 streams of HD all in real time, and this is a great benefit to broadcasters who are looking to tackle that question. We just recently released version 2.5 of that product, and in addition to the ColorFront engine, we've added BBC LUTs, and those are currently being used right now for the World Cup. The stream from the broadcast center is being sent out in S-Log3, and BBC is using the FSHDR to convert that to HLG and doing that as a real-time process.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us. I hope AJ will have a great Broadcast Asia.
Thank you so much for having us, and we hope to work closely with you again in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Bye.
In the media industry.
Well, I think everyone's sort of at a variety of different crossroads, which are edge products that allow customers to take SMPTE 2110 transforms, and so it's a fantastic
Okay. You just hide,
Okay.
hide to the pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, this way.
Okay.
Just careful of the steps.
Yeah.
So, how do I pronounce your name again?
Antti.
Antti? And
Antti.
your last name?
Laurila.
Laudela.
Laurila.
Laulela. Okay. You got a graphic? You got a graphic, right, Sim?
So what were, just to quickly check the...
Sim, can I have a check on his graphic? His title banner? We got it right? Did we get the title right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me brief you through what it's going to happen and what people will be saying.
Okay.
Basically, before this, we will have a placeholder, which is a 5-second placeholder. Then they'll do a 5-second countdown, give me a thumbs up, then we'll switch, go into here. So over here, I will do a short intro saying that welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Ante from Broadcast Solutions with us. Then after that, I'll pose you the first question, which is what trends do you see taking place in today's media industry?
Yeah.
Then the second question would be the solutions that Broadcast Solutions is bringing to us this year at Broadcast Asia.
Okay.
Okay? It's good?
Yeah.
Okay, so yep, we are ready to go. Auntie, right? Auntie.
Antti.
Auntie.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 T's. Yeah.
Auntie. Okay.
And your name?
Josephine.
Josephine.
Yeah. His phone is not taken, right? His phone on the table. Do you need your phone there? Yeah, I guess it's fine. Yeah, I guess it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, yep, we're ready to go. Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Auntie from Broadcast Solutions with us. So Auntie, why don't you share with us some of the trends you see taking place in today's media industry?
So, okay, let me start. Of course, transition in today's media is so much things are happening. First of all, everyone is looking for new and more solutions, how to do production more efficiently, and new platforms for that. So especially if you look at trends from technological perspective, it be talking about the IP, automation, together with artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and things like that.
And what are some of the solutions that Broadcast Asia is bringing to visitors this year?
So we, as a Broadcast Solutions, we are one of the Europeans' biggest system integrator. We operate worldwide. So what we are bringing also here in Asia is that our expertise and knowledge from all the different kinds of system integration projects worldwide, where we have done OBs, new fixed facilities, plus of course we have our own portfolio of cutting edge products.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us, Auntie. I hope Broadcast Solutions will have a great Broadcast Asia.
Thank you.
Thank you. His phone is not taken, right? His phone. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Yeah, I guess it's fine. From Broadcast Solutions with us. So, Auntie, why don't you share with us some of the trends you see taking place in
looking for new and more about the IP automation together with
他让我 cinema 哦，来，yeah, you just
Put where?
anywhere, don't worry.
Oh,
Yeah.
I put it here lah. Oh,
This way? Step off the step.
where do I sit? Here.
Yeah.
All right, man. No second take, Anna.
Not exactly, girl. Okay. So let me just bring you through. So they will do a 5-second countdown. After the countdown, they give me a thumbs up. So we'll see this. People will see this as
So
well.
where do I face?
You can look at the camera. You can look at me.
Okay.
But it's good to look at the camera.
Yeah.
After that, I will start off with doing a small intro saying that welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Cheng Yong from Postium with us. So after that, I will proceed with the first question, which is the trends you see taking place in the media industry. And the second question is the solutions that Postium is bringing to us this year at Broadcast Asia.
Okay.
Good?
Yep.
Okay, I guess we are good to go. Yep. Okay, very good. Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Cheng Yong from Postium with us. So Cheng Yong, could you share with us some of the key trends you see taking place in today's media industry?
Oh, yes. We actually see quite a lot of drastic changes in the last, actually recent 1 or 2 years. Is the way that the people are looking at content to various platforms. And that is a really great changes because I think everybody knows that in the advertising world, they don't know where to put all the advertisement because there are so many platforms. Okay, so I think it's that there will be the low ends and the middle ends, and of course there are high end like the HDR, 4Ks, and all this stuff, right? So this is what we see, you know, of the this last few years about these drastic changes in the media industry.
And what are some of the solutions that Postium is bringing to us this year at Broadcast Asia?
Yeah, if we look at this trend itself, so we actually are one thing that never changed, right? Everybody needs a camera.
Yep.
Everybody needs to see a monitor.
Yep.
To look at the quality of the quality of your shot and you know, whether they are off color or correct color, and then transmit in a sense to the best quality based on the industrial standard. So what Postium providing to the industry is a good quality monitor, reliable, and the trend is that we actually from the low mid end to the very higher end, like the X310, which is actually our standard and the grade 1 monitor. So we do like 4K, HDR, and also of course everybody talking about IP.
Yes.
Okay, then we are probably the only monitor today around that actually have IP inputs, right, on an uncompressed format.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing so much with us, Cheng Yong. I hope Postium will have a great Broadcast Asia this year.
Oh, definitely. Thank you, Josephine.
Thank
I
you.
hope you have a nice show as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
All right. See you at 6F201. Okay, bye.
Okay. Key trends you see taking place in today's media industry.
Quality of your shot and puts right on an uncompressed.
Okay, you can hide it anywhere you like.
Okay, good.
Just let you know beforehand, I understand that you sent me 2 videos, but
Yes.
because we have been trying testing out yesterday and
Yes.
we realized that if we were to insert anything on the screen,
Yes.
they would have a blank screen that says
Okay,
no video.
okay,
so
no problem.
Today we are just gonna
Okay.
skip that. Yeah. because
Okay,
yesterday
no
was-
problem. No problem.
Thank you for your understanding. Perhaps I could just bring you through what's going to happen afterwards.
Yes.
So this is a placeholder that you're going to see.
Yes.
This is what people are going to see when
Yes.
they're on Facebook and Twitter. So after 5 seconds, they'll do a countdown, give me a thumbs up, then
Yes.
we'll go into here. So
Yes.
after which, I will do a quick intro saying like, welcome back to the vStudio. Right
Yes.
now we have Gregor.
Yes.
How do I pronounce your last name again?
Alex.
Alex. Gregor Alex.
Yes.
From
Or you can
Lavo?
yes from Lavo. Yes.
From Lavo with
Yes.
us. So after that, I will proceed with the first question, which is the trends you see taking place in the media industry
Yes.
and the solutions that Lavo is highlighting this year at Broadcast Asia.
Okay. Good.
Just 2 simple questions.
Okay.
So will we see his tablet on the table? First, he's going to put the tablet on the table. Me? Sorry, I didn't turn on. Sorry. Sorry. Can we check this? He's gonna put the tablet on the table. So,
Oh, it's perfect.
yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
see
it
it.
disappears. Yep. Okay, it's great. So,
Yes.
I mean, during
Yes.
streaming, you could just look at the camera, look at me. It's both
yes,
fine.
yes. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're good.
Okay.
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Gregor Alex, right?
Yes. But I mean, if you feel uncomfortable, you just can call me Gregor. I mean, it's
Nah,
just-
try to. Yep.
Yeah. So.
No, we're good. Yep, we're good. Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Gregor Alex from Lavo with us. So, Gregor, what are some of the key trends you see taking place in today's media industry?
What we clearly see on a global scale in the broadcast industry is the wide adoption of the 70-2110 streaming standard. And I just came back from a POC in Japan, where we did a quite big multi-vendor POC with several participants based on 2110 streaming, and I must say that went very, very well so far. And we are quite happy to see that the industry finally is meeting the strong demand from the customer side for interoperable solutions. And we from Lavo are especially happy about this development because we always have been promoting open standards, be it at AS67 on the audio side, be it the 70-2110 streaming standard or Amber Plus as a universal control protocol.
And what are some of the solutions that Lavo is bringing to us this year at Broadcast Asia?
So if you look at the Asian broadcast market, I would say something very specific to Asia is that the move to IP technologies is much, much less driven by the potential workflow improvements you can achieve with IP, but it's more fueled by the demand for 4K infrastructures. And one big challenge related to 4K infrastructures is, of course, the huge amount of bandwidth required, and how do you actually monitor all your uncompressed 4K sources on the multi-viewer. And in the SDI world, customers have been used to have, or still used to have, multi-viewers that can display 16 or 24 video signals on a multi-viewer output, and that is rather difficult in 4K because of the bandwidth limitations. So
Labo has now a very, very unique approach to address this problem with a new DMV, distributed MODI viewer, a software module for the vMatrix platform. And that is in fact the first fully scalable IP-based MODI viewer. So it can display a huge amount of video signals, whether in HD or 4K. And what it actually does, it's physically separating the input stage from the output stage in the MODI viewer module, and is creating or is using a technology called mid mapping to create low resolution streams out of the original source streams, and then is using these streams to create a MODI viewer output mosaic on a separate output stage in the network. And what is interesting about this mid mapping is that this is a technology that was adopted from the video game industry. So in the video game industry, they're using that for 3D video games and flight simulators, where they face kind of a similar challenge to present 3D objects in different resolution formats depending on the position in the game. Yeah. So another practical challenge we see in IP infrastructures is, of course, the high signal density and the vast amount of streaming formats you have to deal with in IP infrastructures. And in SDI it was pretty easy. You just had one signal per cable, so troubleshooting was very, very simple. But in IP you easily can have 25 video streams on a single 40 gigabit connector. So in order to bring back the transparency you had in the SDI world, you need advanced tools that demystify the network and provide you clear visual feedback on what is really going on in your IP infrastructure. And with this in mind, we introduced a new system called SMART. So SMART stands for System Monitoring and Real-Time Telemetry. And this system bridges the gap between broadcast engineering departments and IT departments. Information and joins that together with a very, very smart, configurable user interface that is tailor-made for broadcast operations. So SMART is providing you the tools you need to monitor and troubleshoot your broadcast IP infrastructure.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us, Gregor. I hope Lao will have a great Broadcast Asia this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep, we're good. Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Gregor Elitz from Lao with us. So, Gregor, what are some of the key trends?
Be it the SAMP 2110 streaming standard or Amber Plus as the video signals, whether in HD shooting was very, very simple. And it is actually combining.
Mike, you.
Oh, yes.
Ask one question.
What's the... Oh, the one.
Where do I put this?
Just anywhere.
In the pockets or in
Oh
the...
no, you can just put it at the edge of the table.
Yeah,
As long
alright.
as you. I'm gonna move the borrowing over.
Like
so
this?
that you won't kick it. Yeah.
Alright.
So let me just bring you through. So just now you see that was a placeholder for 5 seconds. So after which you'll do a countdown, give me a thumbs up, then we'll switch to this, which is what people will be seeing in the studio. Then at the studio, I'll just do a quick introduction saying that welcome back to the vStudio. And right now we have, careful, there's a light behind, yeah. Right now we have Johan from MediaGenics with us. And now proceed with the first question with the trends you see taking place in the media industry today. Then after which you reply, then I'll proceed with my second question, which is the solutions that MediaGenics has developed and highlighting this time around at Broadcast Asia.
And I watch you, huh? So I don't watch the camera. So
You can watch the camera, it's fine. Just feel free. You're trying to make it like a bit. You can watch at the camera because the viewers will be looking at the camera now. If you look at me, I will look at you. You want
yeah,
it this way?
I prefer to
Okay.
To watch at you because it makes it more personal. Because I'm not used to talk to cameras, so that's my.
Yeah, no worries. Totally
Some people are
understandable.
very used to that, but I'm never doing this.
Ken, no worries. Can we just check if he will be cut at the left side? Does he look? It's okay, right? Yeah. Just don't move your left hand out. If not, your left hand will be cut. Like my hand, like that.
I'll stay that way. Is that good?
Okay, sure. So I guess we are ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
We are ready. Yeah, we're just waiting for the cue.
You seem to be at ease.
How
many times have you done it now? Today or?
Today, we've got around 15 a day. So yeah, almost 30 for the past 2 days.
Okay,
Tomorrow's the last day.
So that's you seem to be at ease.
I hope. No, I'm just trying to hide all my fears. Okay, we are good. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Counting down, not yet.
Yeah, he's coming. Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Johan from MediaGenics with us here. So Johan, can you share with us some of the key trends you see taking place in today's media industry?
Yeah, sure. I think everybody knows them because the press writes about them. It's for sure more video compared to linear. It's for sure more on mobile devices, especially in the region. I think Asia region is an example in that one. It's more on different, let's say, different platforms. You could say the social media platforms. Also more data-driven, so the importance of getting a good view on your viewers and use that data to bring your content. These are, I think, the main trends that I see. Besides then the globalization and the localizations, because it's a double trend. You see more impact of globalization, but at the same time the importance of localization.
And what are some of the solutions that MediaGenics is bringing to us this year at Broadcast Asia?
Yeah, okay, so actually it's nothing new compared to when we started in '92. So what we provide is a tool that allows media companies to efficiently, flexibly and creatively manage their content lifecycle from ID up to publication. So we really are in the heart of their operations, and with our solution we help them in making sure that they bring their stories, because in the end it's about bringing stories, that we help them in bringing these stories onto the different platforms, linear and non-linear.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us, Johan. So I hope MediaGenics will have a great Broadcast Asia this year.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, he's coming. Welcome back to the vStudio. Right now we have Johan from MediaGenics with us here. So Johan, can you share with us some of
Asia region is an example in that one. It's
MediaGenics is bringing to us this year at Broadcast Asia?
Yeah, okay, so actually it's nothing new compared.
Thank you so much for sharing with us, Johan. So I hope MediaGenics will have a great Broadcast Asia this year.
campfire.
Yeah.
This select my
Linear.
Yeah, it's
One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Mic on.
Oh, check.
Okay. Okay, I've switched on. Michelle.
Check, check.
3, 4.
I won't be able to resist doing this.
I know. Can I put my? Oh, I can't put my hand on it. Disappears. Well,
Okay.
we do have to demonstrate that we're in a chroma set. Hi, and welcome to the Fintan and Michelle interview at Broadcast Asia 2018 here in Suntec in Singapore. It's 4:20 in the afternoon if you're watching this live, and it was 4:20 in the afternoon if you're not watching it live on day 2 at Broadcast Asia. So I'd like to introduce Michelle Prue, who has flown all the way from Ottawa to Singapore to present at multiple seminars and multiple speaker slots here at Broadcast Asia. Thank you for coming all the way from Canada.
My pleasure.
And so what I'm kind of curious, because Michelle's capacity here, aside from being an industry veteran of more years than he wants to admit to, it really, if I can paraphrase it, was something that we've been talking about. Michelle is possibly considered as an evangelist of IP in the broadcast space. Would that be a fair description?
Yeah, I'm not sure I appreciate the religious connotation, because it's not a religion.
Well,
but
technical evangelist.
So I'm a big part of what I'm doing these days is helping this industry make that transition to IP and file-based, and so that's been a priority of mine for some time, and I love to evangelize, I guess.
Okay, so before we go into your what you've seen at the seminar and what you've heard at the seminar and what you kind of are soaking up in the Asia Pac space for the move to IP, it's probably important to explain your perspective on baseband technology and legacy technology and how well you understand that, because I think you have what many people would be quite jealous of is a deep understanding of what's there and a strong understanding of what's coming and how to get there. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about your past for people who don't know you.
Okay, so it's interesting. You're right. I've been in this industry for 30 years. Most recently, I was at Miranda for several years, and of course, before I left Miranda, we were still in an SDI world, whereas now we're very much approaching this IP world, right? But now one of my big activities these days is I'm working with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. We're working on a fairly major facility rebuild, and we've chosen to do that facility rebuild in IP. So you're right, I do know the old world, the SDI, but I've had to learn the new world IP. So you're right, I do have an interesting position having lived both.
So, and this kind of feeds in, I suppose, to my kind of first question. You have been on multiple panels here at Broadcast Asia in the seminars, and even some seminars just before the show started. One of the recurring themes in terms of migration to IP broadcast technology seems to be around people's skills.
The knowledge gap.
The knowledge gap. How important is that as a factor in? Because we're talking about technology, we're at a technology show, but this is about people and people skills.
So it's interesting. You've selected exactly the point. I'd say at all the conferences that I've been at concerning IP at this show and in our panel that we had, the topic of the knowledge gap. So we're starting all this IP stuff. The broadcast engineers that are there, do they have the tools? Do they have the skill sets? And it's a gap, and it's going to be an issue. And most people, it's going to slow things down. So I think it's really important that this is being discussed, because the next step is it has to be addressed, right? So you yourself, you're doing this a lot. You're doing a lot of activity to try to help educate the industry. We've done some seminars that you've helped organize. I think it's hugely important. Education is hugely important.
But I think another point, we were asked today, what's the timing of the transition? The panel was asked, what's the timing of the transition? And I think the timing is going to be different for different people. But no matter what your timing is as a broadcaster, it doesn't matter if your first project that'll touch IP is this year or 4 years from now, because of the knowledge gap, you have to get involved in doing some kind of IP project, whether it's a lab or it's a little proof of concept or it's a small studio on the side. I think it's imperative that broadcasters start to fill up this knowledge gap by doing some real practical projects.
So, and again, I'm thinking we have a mixed audience here. So, obviously, there's probably a lot of broadcast engineers and a lot of IT engineers who come from different backgrounds. But in an average broadcaster today, you tend to have the core broadcast engineers almost in one department, and you have an IT department, and they got routers and switches. So are the broadcast engineers going to become part of an IT department? Are an IT department going to take over, or is this just something else?
Well, it's an excellent point. I think in a media facility today, it's often those two teams are siloed. They're very separate. And I think the first thing that has to happen is those silos have to be taken down. So that's either by building a cross-functional team, a single cross-functional team, or ensuring that those people are working on those projects together. The silo effect has to be removed if you're going to have any success. Those people have to start working together. And there was a gentleman that I met this week at the event that we were at on Monday that I think put it very well. So he's Australian. This is Charles. He's from Australia, formerly with a broadcaster, I believe it was Channel 9. He's now in the IT space, and he said something to me that was very interesting. First thing you know, he said the same thing: break those silos, make them into one team, and then take your IT engineers that everybody says, oh, those IT engineers, they don't understand the urgency of broadcast. His solution, Charles's solution to this when he was back in Australia working for Channel 9, was to send those new IT engineers out into the field at OB events, not just one, but for several weeks or even a month of living that world, living the live world, so that the IT engineer suddenly becomes more sensitive to the pressures and the urgencies of the broadcast space. And I thought that was brilliant. I think that's a really good solution to this issue. And then I think the other thing is, it's where I got my, in French we say piqûre, where I got the bug of loving television, is by going out there and seeing what happens when it's live. You'll see that this is a fascinating industry that's got all this excitement, right? I remember I was at this live event, it was an election coverage, and the producer got really mad because the other network called the election before, and he kicked the garbage can and it hit the production switcher. You know what I mean? It's a live event, there's a lot of energy, it's a fun industry to be in. So I think the IT engineer can get that energy and can learn the urgency. So I think that's an interesting way. So don't just cross-pollinate the teams, make them learn each other's trades.
I think it's a great point. It's something that I find interesting, given that we're in SI and we've just started doing live broadcasts recently, right. And we're actually surrounded by some of my engineers here who are not accustomed to being in a studio environment, which we're in now. So, and I can tell you, it gives them a different perspective. If the audio has problems, or if the video has problems, or if we lose a hand or a head, magically.
So everybody thought this was an outside broadcast, and we're outside in Singapore. It's a green set.
You may have just realized that we're not actually on front of the background, but we're very close to the picture.
Could I have a mountain background, please, now? No, so it's back to the IP subject. Seriously, it's the transition will happen for different people at different times, right? There's lots to learn, there's lots of new technology. It's still a young transition. There's still some maturity that has to happen with the vendors. The vendor's solution have a ways to come yet. But to be honest, the end users, it's back to my story from before. They have to do a project now to learn it, but also to build a relationship with those vendors that are out in front of this issue.
Who's leading in this space? I mean, you're over here kind of talking about a lot of research that has been done in Canada for the national broadcaster there. In the US, in Europe, you travel, you do the global shows. Is the globe moving on the same clock here, or is this a North America first, Europe second, Asia third, or what's the timing here?
No, I don't. Okay, so I think let's tackle the U.S. versus Europe thing. Both of those groups are going at the same time.
In sync.
That's right. We just at the conference we were just at here, we heard about StarHub here, who have done a big install in Australia, the big NEP project, which is a very ambitious and interesting IP-based remote production, huge project. So now this is going on all over the world, right? And I think it's not a U.S. first kind of thing. I think it's the IP addresses certain needs, and if you have those needs, people are tapping into them. In NEP's case, they wanted to build this huge across the country network to be able to do remote production seamlessly.
Yes.
The only way to do that was to build it over IP, right? So they needed the scale and they needed the transparency of it doesn't matter where the equipment is and where the people are, it's one big production.
This segues into a very important question. So from the seminars that you've been involved in here, a recurring question was, what's the benefits, what's the reason to go IP? So what in order of priority, so what are the top three kind of key drivers that broadcasters should be motivating broadcasters to move to IP?
Okay, so first of all, we shouldn't be dogmatic about it. It depends on everybody's individual situations. But I would say the biggest benefits for doing IP today, I would say for us, the project that I'm doing, we are trying to move to a facility that previously was made out of a bunch of fixed function boxes that only did one thing, to a facility where as many of the components as possible are going to be software. Because what we want is the agility to be able to have more of one thing one day and less of that thing another day, and change what our infrastructure does, what our components do. So we want better agility. So that is the example that you gave, so that we can ramp up production because it's the Olympics, and ramp up a couple of extra channels and those kind of things. So it's to get that agility. That's the number one reason in my mind. And in order to get the software, you have to go to IP first. So we wanted to get the software, so IP is the one thing. The other one, so I'd say the number one is being able to go to software to give us agility. The second one I think is if your future and your immediate future involves a mixture of UHD and HD and maybe 1080p 50, you know, what some people call full HD, you want a format agnostic facility. IP gives you that. It gives you that format agnosticism. So I'd say that's the second one, right? And then the third is only applies to a greenfield site. If you're going to be building a greenfield site, so brand new facility from the ground up, the amount of wiring that you have, is going to be dramatically reduced because of the use of IP. The fact that a single IP fiber is 100 gig fiber is carrying 60 videos in both directions, files, everything on the same fiber. The reduction in wiring is important.
So physically in your car room, your cable trays are smaller. You've less, and is that. So that's an initial cost. It's a wiring cost, but the maintenance thereafter as well. Now.
I think, and it's also a more future-proof. Laying down this kind of fiber that's got IP at both ends, the traffic that you put on that is not fixed. On that piece of fiber, you could be transporting live video or files, audio, Genlock, everything goes in through that. So it's a lot more. It's not I have to run some video wiring, some audio wiring, and some Ethernet wiring. I now run one piece of fiber, and that piece of fiber is carrying all of my kinds of traffic. So that wire now becomes more agile. I can change what I put on both ends and not have to change the wire in the future. So it's also more future-proof, I guess.
Okay, and this is in the facility. So I realize that we have to kind of top and tail this interview. But one thing in terms of you know, a couple of years ago we were talking about IP, kind of basically SDI over IP, you know, and the SMPTE standards, and more functionality like auto discovery coming in as more SMPTE standards. So the benefits of migrating to IP are in a way kind of linked to the rollout of the standards as well. So where are we in standards rollout in terms of, you know, the stuff that's coming? How much more is it going to do for us? And you know, is there an end to this, or is the IP story continually going to get better?
Okay, so I think that the standard story is a good one. So I think the standard story is better now than it was a year ago, in that we have SMPTE 2110, which is the transport standard, how we put video and audio on an IP network. That is now completely ratified. So we're good to go.
So that means the manufacturers now can target. They know what to deal with.
Exactly, and we're writing some RFPs, and we're able to ask for clear questions on the RFP, leaning on the standard. Where things are not as mature from a standardization perspective, and it leads a fairly big gap. This promise of auto discovery, this promise of, so the standards that are being worked on there are from AMWA, and the series is NMOS, and the most important one is IS04, which is the registration, and IS05, which is for a universal connection control. Those two standards are still not complete.
So this is plug and play.
Plug and play, and be able to have any vendor of controller control any vendor of endpoint.
Okay, which is not the natural state for the broadcast business.
It's not the natural state for the broadcast industry. So those two standards, and I would say of those two, the registration and discovery, I would say in the project that we're doing, we're not worried about interconnecting and interoperability of devices from a signal point of view. 2110 is mature, we're getting that. But where we're struggling a little bit is it's quite complex to configure this system, and there isn't this automated way of, once you configure it, for all the components to know. And that's the job of IS04, and we're not quite there yet. It's a gap, right? But it's a gap that's being addressed, but today it's a gap.
Okay, and taking a step back from kind of the low-level standards and the function, taking a step back into the bigger picture, the future of broadcast. I see people oscillating between gloomy that Netflix is going to eat their business, or being excited that IP has made it cheaper to do live production and we can do much more live, and our local broadcasters are going to have an ability to create more content and manage it better than ever before at a lower cost. So what's the future for broadcast?
Okay, so actually it's funny, those are two separate topics, right?
Yes.
What's happening with the delivery of content to viewers and the consumption of content, which is, you're right, tending towards, whether you call it OTT or digital, whatever you want to call it, and that's what Netflix does. There's no doubt.
We're streaming live.
And we're streaming. So there's no doubt that that's the future of broadcasting. And I think that broadcasters need to look to those other outlets in the future so that they themselves continue to be relevant in the future, right? But in order to do that, in order to have that capacity to do all those new kind of services and spin up channels because it's the Olympics, or spin up channels because there's a big concert or whatever, we need to be able to do that. But in order to be able to tackle that new competition, we better have a facility that's a lot more agile. We can't build a production system today that will only do a few linear channels. We have to build a production system that will be able to evolve up and down as we do these different distribution activities. So I think it's essential to build a modern facility that is agile and software-based and can be reconfigured on the fly to to better compete in the future.
Okay, I might add to that. I think this IP and this IP technology is coming in lots of shapes and sizes, and I think a lot of it is actually making the palette for the broadcaster wider and broader. So we're sitting here in front of essentially a one or two box solution that's giving us that's giving us a pop-up studio, a pop-up channel. 5 years ago, we were sitting here to do this with $500,000 worth of kit and a control room and the whole lot. So this isn't going to be for everything, but a broadcaster can afford to do this and do some high-end production at the Olympics or at the Asia Games or something like that. And I think this whole IP, we're literally, this is all IP. We're going out over bonded IP. It's a software solution on a COTS box. And it's giving more tools to the broadcasters to do more. So I like to think that it's an optimistic future.
Absolutely, and I think we're just at the beginning of it. And I firmly believe, I'm a hardware engineer originally by trade. Canadians will recognize my ring. I'm a hardware engineer, but I now firmly believe that we need to look at more and more at software-based systems, because that will give us the agility to do different things. And you're right, it's impressive that all of this is running from a very small setup compared to a few years ago.
I just thought of a last technical question, because you're one of the most technical people I know, and you can explain technical things simply, which is what Einstein espoused to as well. Right? COTS, you have a strong hardware background, and people are talking about, you're not talking about the software, but we hear COTS a lot, and virtualization and cloud. So the hardware, is it better on COTS? Is it better virtualized, or is it better in the cloud?
Okay, well, so actually, to be honest, yes to all three of those. So first of all, I thought the question was going to be, what's my definition of COTS? Because
that was inferred in the question as well.
Okay, so to us, and this is, we talk about this almost every day. To us, COTS is a piece of equipment that we can buy from a vendor, and that vendor is selling that same piece of equipment to other industries. So in other words, that vendor, we're not their only market. So that's the first definition. Okay, so we can buy a piece of equipment that is being financed by a bigger market than ours. So that's the first thing. And then the second definition for us, COTS piece of equipment is one that we can use one day to do one function, and use an exact same version of that same hardware to do another function from another vendor. So that now we have one piece of hardware doing 2 or 3 different functions. So it makes our purchasing easier, it makes our support contracts easier, it makes our spares easier, it makes all of it easier. So that's our definition of COTS, something that's coming from an industry bigger than ours, and something that is multi-purpose. Okay. So it's very important. So now the second question you asked was software versus virtualized versus cloud. So for us, some functions are already virtualized. At CBC, our entire Avid environment is completely virtualized. Our entire audio production environment is completely virtualized. We're doing some testing with some software-based solutions for playout applications. We think we're going to be running those bare metal initially, right? So not virtualized, because they hog the whole machine anyway. It doesn't
There's
matter.
No benefit. There's no extra CPU to.
The fact that it's not virtualized doesn't take away from that same machine. If we don't need that channel anymore, we can take that channel software down and run something else on that machine. So it's not as quick as virtualized would be, but at least it's still multi-purpose. Okay? So software, bare metal or virtualized, depends on the function. Virtualized, why virtualized? Just to get better use of the machine, but also a function that we virtualize, we know if we need transcoding, for example, we do so much transcoding, we do all of it in-house because it's cheaper to do it in-house. But when we have a burst, because it's the beginning of the month and then we can burst out to the cloud with exactly the same situation. So having built that on a virtualized platform allows us to have internal capacity in-house and burst out to the cloud.
We've deployed solutions like that already. We're seeing that. We've put in Elemental, the green servers, traditional hardware, and then some events come up and it bursts into the Amazon cloud, so you can see
that's flexibility, right? That's the beauty of that solution.
And that's happening in Singapore today, and I think that's the other thing. I meet a lot of broadcasters around Southeast Asia, and they're talking. A lot of the talk with some of the broadcasters is kind of the future tense, and I'm kind of, guys, this is kind of present tense, So, are you going to? When are we going to see you in Asia again?
You know me, I'm an evangelist, right? So the next time someone invites me to come and evangelize, I'll be back to evangelize with great pleasure. It's a long way to come, but it's a great honor at the same time. So.
Michel Preux, the honor was mine.
All right,
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.